Alright guys, so lately I've been looking at a lot of mechanical chronographs, and particularly in the affordable segment, and I know the words mechanical, chronograph, and affordable aren't often uttered in the same sentence, but the one that keeps coming up is the Seagull 1963. I've had this on the radar for 2 or 3 years now, and it finally found its way into my watch box by way of a trade earlier this summer. Now there's a few variants of the watch, and because of that the prices vary as well, but to be able to get a mechanical column wheel chronograph under $250 is a rarity in the watch world, especially one with the cool history of the 1963. Just wanted to give it a little attention on the channel today, so let's get into the watch. Alright, now if you guys start shopping around for these, you're going to find some variants of the watch like I mentioned earlier, and if you're like me and want to look further into what's up with these variants, you're in for a long trip down a dark rabbit hole. You wouldn't believe some of the extensive threads I've found on these things. I'm not going to rehash all that here, but I'll leave a link or two where you can explore these a little further. So in 1955, the Tianjin Watch Company was founded. In 61, they were mandated by the Chinese government to produce a chronograph for the Air Force. The movement they developed, the ST-19, was based off the Swiss-made Venus caliber 175, with the reason being that they'd apparently bought the very same machinery that was used to make that movement from Venus. The project was known as Project 304, and by 1963, prototypes were built with reportedly 1,400 to 1,700 units being delivered for military use by 1965. Interesting backstory, although there's mixed info out there, so apologize if I missed anything. So to touch on it one more time, there's a few versions of the reissue, as well as reissues of the reissue, it seems. I told you it's a little bit crazy with these ones, but there's different dial configurations, 38mm to 42mm cases, there's sapphire and acrylic crystal options, and even different versions of both solid and display case backs. But let's talk about this particular version here. When it comes to the dial, this definitely isn't what pops in my mind when I'm thinking of a military watch. By today's standards, it almost has a dressy look, especially with the little touches like the gold tone applied hour markers. I'll get the chronograph going here while we're looking at it, and just to give you an idea of the action, we'll stop and reset. And we'll start it back up, and I just love the pusher action. Has a smooth but snappy feel to it. As far as the subdials go, to the left is the running seconds with the 30-minute counter over at the 3. Up top, we have the red star framed in gold. Below that is 21 joules. You'll also find some versions marked 19 joules. Above the 6 is the Chinese characters that read China and Tianjin Watch Factory. When the original owner bought this, there was the option for the display case back and a solid, so he actually ended up getting both. I think the solid one here on the right is more in line with the original, but it's nice to see the manual wind column wheel movement working away. It's especially cool to see how the column wheel gets engaged. The chronograph is actually running right now, but let's stop it. Then we will reset. The column wheel is just up here by my thumb. Reset, and we'll start it up again. Considering the cost, it's really quite a nice looking movement. Size-wise, the watch comes in at a width of a little under 38 millimeters. Lug to lug is about 46.5 millimeters. The lug opening is 18 millimeters, and the thickness is fairly tall at 14.7 millimeters. That does include the heavily domed acrylic crystal, which gives it some really nice distortion to the dial at certain angles. The water resist is 30 meters, so I'm sure it'll survive a splash, but you'll probably want to keep this one out of the pool. The watch comes out on a mediocre quality NATO. I believe I've seen them come on leather straps as well, so you'll likely end up swapping it for something different straight away. I don't have a lot of 18 mil straps. This one is from Barton, but I think with the thickness, a two-piece leather would probably be the best to keep the height down. Doesn't work bad on a NATO either, though, so I think that's everything I wanted to touch on other than giving you guys a look on wrist. So let me pop it on here quick. And here it is on my 7¼ inch wrist, and I like the look. I know some question Chinese-made watches, but Seagull has some serious pedigree. They've grown to be the largest movement manufacturer of mechanical watch movements in the world, and if you're looking for a mechanical chronograph at an affordable price, you're probably going to end up with one of these, if not a brand using their movement. So where to buy? You can find these anywhere from Amazon to eBay, and even sellers like Long Island Watch, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with. There's a few sellers that are probably better depending on your area, but give it a Google and good luck with the rabbit hole that is Seagull 1963. So that's it, guys. Really appreciate you stopping by. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.